what I want to do this year is I'm still going to do some online classes. I normally do 2 or 3 a year, but in between those class times, I want to just kind of keep up this Heaven Community Zoom call thing going. And that's something that I'm going to open up to everybody. So if you're on the mailing list, either for the Discover the Heavens website or with my online school, all those hundreds of people are going to get an email that says, hey, we're going to do a Zoom call tonight. You can join in if you like. And that way there's these opportunities where we can all really come together as a community and spend some time with our Lord in the heavens together. And, in the past, when we've kind of kept some of that Heaven Community stuff going, we've had some really cool things. I mean, we've done everything from intercede for people with COVID sort of towards the fall of last year, and that proved incredibly fruitful. And I don't doubt that there'll be other things that we can sort of strike while the iron is hot and we're all here together in the heavens. I'm sure that there's going to be issues that we cover while we're all together, as if we're kind of joining forces together in the heavens to see what we can affect and what we can change. I have something tonight already picked out, but I don't want you to hesitate. Sorry, I'm admitting people while I'm talking to you. I don't want you to hesitate to send me emails if there's things that you want to do during our Heaven Community Zoom hours. If there are issues, you're like, Christopher, could we all go up to heaven and talk about this and see what the Lord says? Send me an email and let me know what's on your mind about that. Yeah, it's good. I see there Janine and Kelly on your call sign there. Yeah, you appreciate the opportunity to connect with others in the heavens. It is important. Sometimes you live in a city where there's like 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 people around you that you can get together and to go into the heavens with. And sometimes you live in a place where there's not many. And maybe if you may not know if there's any at all. And so being able to do this I think it's a real important part to keep us all going forward and encouraged in what we're doing. So we're going to do some Heaven Community Zoom calls. Also, if this is your first time jumping on here, whenever I do an online class, I always do office hours, or not always. I've been doing that these last couple classes, which I love, and everyone else seems to have a good time too. I really enjoy office hours because I don't plan anything. I simply set the Zoom meeting and I turned on. And the idea behind office hours is you come with your questions and your topics, and we end up kind of going back and forth about it. And so it's just kind of like, when I was teaching high school, you've got office hours, your door's open, they can come in and ask you questions during that time. And normally that happens on a Sunday afternoon, like around the 4:00 p.m. time Eastern. And I won't do one this Sunday, but I think I will the following Sunday. So we'll get a couple Heaven Community Zoom calls, a couple office hours in, over the next month or so. All right. So tonight, to jump right in, it's 8:07, and to be respectful of your time, and honestly, most human beings wear out after about an hour. Just so you know, as we do these, even with office hours, I try to keep it around that hour mark to maximize effectiveness. I'm going to play the tour guide tonight because there's a place I want to show you. I really love being in the heavens, if that wasn't obvious. I really enjoy doing this sort of thing because for me, it's like this. It's this connection to something resurrected and restored and greater. And nothing shows me better what's supposed to come down here. Like when I go up there and look around, that's where I get to see how this here needs to change, because I'm spending time up there seeing like the way it is and the way it's designed to be. And nothing, I think, is more peaceful and restorative than being in that Garden of Eden-like setting. And I love to explore. And setting, as you know, is really important to me. Knowing where you are is kind of important to reality. So when you don't know where you are, it's kind of difficult to put any sort of faith in what you're experiencing if it feels very disjointed from where you were yesterday. That's kind of the way we're designed to work, is we need some consistency. We need some continuity in what we do. And I like setting. I like knowing where I am and paying close attention to it, because it gives me that sense of presence. Like I know I'm there when I've taken in the sights and the sounds and the touches and and the smells, and I have a sense of my environment. It starts to come together for me. I'll tell you, I think I stumbled. I stumbled into all this. So I stumbled into the importance of setting really early on in my experience of the heavens, because we're talking like within the first 6 months, I was pretty quiet about what I was doing. There were a few really close friends around me that were like, "Hey, what are you talking about here?" And they were like, "I want to make an appointment with you, and you just walk me through what you're doing." I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I didn't have the language in those 6 months, maybe even for the first year or more, to know how to tell someone, what it is that I was doing. But if someone was like, "I'm interested, I just walk me through it," I'd say, "All right, come to my office. We'll figure it out. So I remember my friend Laura Brazel. Now she's with the Lord now, which is not a sad story because she's not dead. She's very much alive. Her body succumbed to cancer, and that happened really just a few years ago. But Laura Brazel was one of the first people that sort of came to my office. It's where I was writing my first book, Caught Up in the Spirit, in that little office I rented for like $200 a month. It was like a closet, and she came there, and I was like, "All right, well, let's just close these eyes," and all I could really tell her was some basics about maybe where we would be, and all I could really tell her was to trust the first impressions, because that's what was working so well with me, was just take away the mental traffic cop and go with your first impression. What do you have to lose here? Let's do that as our way of saying, "I believe you, Holy Spirit, that you're bigger than my intellect and you're bigger than my will. So I'm just going to trust my first impressions." That was like the biggest step of faith I could have. Now, I wanted to take Laura to this place that I had found, and I didn't describe the whole thing to her, but I did write it in one of my books, what I called the teaching grove. It's one of the first places Jesus ever took me, and the setting of it, I really got. I knew I was in this kind of open forest. There were trees, but they were pretty widely spaced apart. And I also knew that where Jesus brought me to was like this natural bowl. It was like a natural amphitheater where all the sides around this clearing in this forest sort of gradually sloped into the middle. And there was kind of dotted with trees around, but the trees were like 30, 40 feet apart. And I remember Jesus standing in the middle of this natural grassy amphitheater. And I was also, this might have been the first time I realized I wasn't alone. When I looked around all this little, dotted along this grassy, natural, concave place, there were other people sitting there like I was. And I was just kind of sitting with my back to a tree. And Jesus was standing in the middle of this natural depression, teaching all of us at the exact same time. But he was teaching all of us different things, right? So he was speaking to each of us individually about something that he wanted to impart and to teach us about. So when Laura came to my office that day, again, really early on in this journey, I was like, "Hey, let's go to the teaching grove." I said, "Let's just go to a place. I'll give you the basics, and Jesus is going to talk to you there." I didn't know what to tell people. And so where eyes are closed, first impressions, I was like, "Yeah, so there's going to be some trees and some grass." And without me even being able to fill in the blanks, my friend Laura Brazel goes, "Is it like there's like the ground sort of slopes down to a point, and it slopes down from all sides, and it's like a little shallow bowl?" And I was like, "What? Like, how is that possible? Like, how do you know? How do you see this already?" 6 months in, this is what God does, I think, when he's trying to get your attention. 6 months in, that first moment of this is real set in. How is it possible for her to see something that I didn't tell her was there, and is exactly, she didn't mix her words. It wasn't like, "Does the hill just sort of slope down?" No, she was like, "It slopes down from all sides, making a shallow bowl, and like Jesus is standing in the middle." Blew my mind. One of my first moments of seeing how beautifully important setting is, how understanding your environment, your surroundings, that God's ordained that. Like he wants you to see it, and he wants you sometimes to see it together. and to know that the places that you're visiting are very real. Now, I want to take you to a place because I think Jesus is going to have a moment with us tonight, kind of like he did way back when, 11 years ago, that he's going to teach us. I think we want to all be taught by him. Now, I think if you've seen the Chosen TV show or something, maybe you can imagine what it was like to hang out with Jesus. I'm willing to bet that hanging out with Jesus, and this is certainly my own experience in the heavens, is equal parts just kind of vibing with him, just being consciously present, being aware. We're not trying to do something. We're not trying to save the world. We're just trying to be something. You're just there. It's not about, like how many revelations you got and how many mysteries have been solved and how many gifts have been given or any. It's just, you're just practicing conscious awareness. You're not trying to rush. This day that we live in, that's maybe one of the hardest skills ever to practice, is that skill of don't rush. Now, the other probably part of the time, and this again is my experience, but I think must be how it was. He's teaching, like you're around him to be taught by him. You know that the Lord, he's not just an example for you, he's an example of you. He is showing you what you are and can and will be. He's not just going, follow my example. He's saying, look at me. This is you. I'm an example of you, not just an example for you. You are my new kind of human that I've, reconceived you to be. So equal parts vibing, equal parts being taught by him. Tonight, I want to do that. I want to take, say, the first 15 minutes, and I just want to vibe, just want to hang out. I want to take the next 15 minutes. I want to let him teach us. And then the last 15 minutes, I've got something a little special that I think the Lord led tonight, that think of it like this is the heaven community meeting for this new year. I've got some things I want to put to you so that in your own life, you can put your connection with heaven to the test. It's going to be kind of my theme for our heaven community Zoom calls for the next couple months or so. All right, so step one, tour guide's going to do his job. If you want to get something to write on, if you want to get a notebook, whatever you want to do, that's a great idea. I also highly recommend music. If music distracts you, totally cool. Maybe you want to do your favorite soaking music. If you've got a favorite, you want to turn that on real low. If you don't have a favorite, I can give you some options. You can pull up another window on your web browser away from Zoom or whatever and pull up relaxmoods.com. All one thing, relaxmoods.com. A few different squares like album covers will come up. I like the one called Dark, just because it's like a starry sky on the cover and it's kind of low key, it's kind of mellow in the background. You might like that. You also, you can pull up another window of your browser and just put it to YouTube. And once you get through the first ad that you're going to be forced to watch, you might want to search something like heavenly harp music. That's a good one. Snowy landscapes with harp music in the background. I'm a pro at finding these things. Or another one is if you just like nature sounds, you want to just hear a winter waterfall or something like that. YouTube winter river nature, ambience or something like that. There's tons of them. And I subscribe to all those channels on YouTube. So I have never a shortage of little nature scenes I can throw up and listen to the waterfall or something if I can't get out of my room because I've made myself, like write for a month or something, like what's going on now. All right. So you can pull those up, turn it on real low. Your mics are muted anyway, so it doesn't matter. You can still hear me while you've got that going on in the background. I find it helpful, but that's just me. All right. Open the eyes of your heart. The first thing I want you to see is I want you to imagine a white pavilion, perfectly circular in nature, relatively big. I'd say it's a solid 40 feet, maybe a little bit more, maybe closer to 50 across. But let's go with 40 feet across in diameter. So a big circle, a beautiful domed ceiling to it, and columns all around the perimeter of the circle. To me, the columns always look very white. And the materials to me look very stone or marbly or something like that. Very kind of, strong. It's not like wood or anything. I'm not going to give you all the details, kind of like with Lore Brazel that one time all those years ago, but I'm just going to tell you that if you were to look out of those columns to your surroundings, you would find yourself in almost like the valley's the wrong word, because it's more like as if you were all the way down in a very deep but very big caldera, which is like a extinct volcano, so all around you, like all around this place where this pavilion is set, and we're talking, there's a lot of space down here in the bottom, but all around this are just these high walled like cliffs and mountains all around, almost perfectly sort of enclosing this circular, again, call it a valley or a caldera. Again, it's just, deep, and these walls all around filled with trees and rock, and, it's all very high all around. And from different places, all around this little central protected place where this pavilion is, there are waterfalls spilling down. I will tell you, I have seen 4 big ones in this place. 4 big waterfalls from different parts in the perimeter, spilling down to the floor of this caldera. And some of them even sort of empty into a pool that kind of meanders out of this area like a river. Now, however, I'm not giving you a ton of details. Sorry, microphone. I want you to imagine it as you see it, not necessarily as I do. You can fill in the blanks. Again, white pavilion, surrounded by these high walls all around, like you're deep in this vast, extinct volcano or something, but deep down in there, and waterfalls pouring in, at least 4 big ones from the sides of those high walls, and they pour down into the space. Some of them even collect and form a river that flows out of this, again, this caldera, which part of me thinks it flows underground out of here. I haven't seen like a way out. It's just this beautifully protected place. White pavilion in the center, more or less, very near where some of those waterfalls are pouring into that pool that meanders out in the river. It's just very green, very verdant. And lately I've kind of seen it kind of wintry. Now, all I want you to do, I'm just being the tour guide for a minute. All I want you to do first is let your imagination put the pieces of this puzzle together. All those descriptions I gave you, the 4 big waterfalls, this white pavilion settled down into this well-protected environment with these walls of mountain all around it, waterfalls pouring in. And I just want you to locate yourself. Where are you in this picture right now? This is a great time to use the chat box. Where are you in this picture right now? Thanks, Janine and Kelly, about the relaxedmoods.com link there. Where are you in this picture? And you're allowed to, again, trust your first impressions. Again, early on, that's all I can tell people to do. Make that your step of faith tonight. Holy Spirit, I think you're bigger than my imagination. I think you're bigger than my will. I think you're bigger than my intellect. I'm just going to go with my first impressions. Where are you in this picture? Dorette, you said you're in the pavilion feeding the birds. And in the pavilion is a great place to start tonight. On a ledge of one of the waterfalls, leaning on a column, looking out at a waterfall. Standing in the center of the pavilion, right next to the pavilion, in the pavilion, hugging a pillar. Yep, just relaxing and looking out at the water. Janine, that's the right idea, because we're remember the first part tonight, we're just going to vibe. And I'm going to help you get there in just a minute, if you're not already. On comfy couches in the middle of the pavilion, looking out, And to you, Celeste, you see the ceiling like a glass dome. It's actually really pretty. I like that. Yeah, looking out from the center of the pavilion. Good. Sitting on the stairs of the pavilion. That's you, Donna. Didn't tell you there were stairs, but oftentimes I see that too. It's like there's a couple stairs that lead up to that circular pavilion. So you can feel the cool marble against your cheek. Yeah, good. Yeah. So someone else is on one of the sides of the mountain looking down. Good. Yeah. Looking up and enjoying the mist. Yeah, a lot of mist in this place. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, Diane, you said, I feel like I'm being grounded in this place. It's kind of the idea. Yeah. Hey, everybody, is it night or day to you? First impression, how do you see it, night or day? You can't get this wrong. Some of you, however many, throw it in the chat box and let me know. Dusk, day. Yeah, Samantha, you were swimming right under the waterfall. Don't get caught in the current there. Dusk, a lot of dusk going on here. A lot of day, some night, some late afternoon. Again, that was just for you to make you ask that so that you're aware of your surroundings. Yeah. Yeah, you're doing great. Someone asked me if there's going to be a replay. I'm absolutely recording this. I'll put it on the YouTube channel for sure. Diane, this is important to me because, again, this is like one of these moments I was having, like, again, with my friend Laura Brass all those years ago. You said it almost feels prehistoric. Yes. There are things that I see in this caldera that I'm like, that doesn't exist in my mortal sojourn. Like, there's creatures here and animals that I'm like, yep, not anything I've ever seen before. Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe timeless. Yeah, very much so. Now, wherever you are, you know how I like to do this. A lot of you have done this with me before. I like to run through our senses because I find that, again, that helps us be present. And right now, we're not going to try to solve any problems. We just want to practice being cognitively present and unrushed. We just want to be for a minute. Go through your sense of smell. What do you smell in this place? Great job, Sarah. I love how some of you see these things, and it's just exactly like I've seen them too. Sarah, you said, I see waterfalls, two a little wider ones, and together with a big wide one with caves behind them. And there are other waterfalls around the place. Yeah, little ones as well, 4 big ones, and yes, caves and things like that behind them. Yeah. So what are y'all smelling? Everything, ginger, pine trees. I get a pine sense here too, kind of that really lush, earthy smell. Ozone, roses, I almost said ozone. Ozone and roses, ashy and lilacs and gardenias and pine. Yeah, damp rocks. Yeah, fresh water, salty mist, spring flowers, oranges. Again, just let it come to you. That's the idea. Trust those first impressions. You can smell the water. Yeah, water's got a smell. It sure does. Jennifer, you can smell cinnamon and cassia, which I don't know what that is, but I know what cinnamon is, and that smells good. Very good. And some of you don't worry about it. Is this right? Am I allowed to say this? If you smell barbecue, say that you smell barbecue. Like, don't write that off. Be silly sometimes. You're going to need it sometimes. Be a little frivolous when you need to be. Yeah, you think you smell hot apple cider, roses. That was Miriam. Frankincense, Shirley. Yeah, Judy, you said, I've been here before with animals that shouldn't be there. Yeah, right. Pine from the trees and wet grass. Very good. Very, very good. How about your sounds? What do you hear? Now, for me, overwhelmingly, it's the sound of the water. I mean, like, I feel like that it's like the defining thing about this place is the way that the water sounds. Yeah, rushing waterfall. You'd think with those 4 big waterfalls, it'd be like crashing, but it never feels overwhelming to me. It just feels just right. Buzzing around, you feel the mist. A hum, water gurgling. Very good. Birds, yeah. Again, trust those first impressions. If you hear something and you're like, that's out of place, I wouldn't think to hear that. Go ahead and say it. It's okay. Some people hear tropical birds. Yeah, you said it's so soothing and surreal. Crackling tree branches. Yeah, bird calls that sound like Australian species. Someone else hears crickets, train in the distance. Very good. Rushing water. Yeah. Good. Yeah, Natalie, you hear magma bubbling. Yeah, absolutely. Bees buzzing. Yeah. Someone else heard and saw the hummingbirds as well. Great. Now let's use your sense of touch. Reach out and touch something. It could be the way that the air feels. It could be the clothes on your body, the temperature. It could be that you reach out and touched a column or anything else. Just use that sense of touch for a minute. Feel snowflakes falling. Yeah. Hands are moist from the mist from the waterfall, the marble column. That's you, David. Caroline, you said, I saw a fairy. You said, first time I've seen that. And you said, I heard her first and then saw. This is the kind of place where that sort of thing happens. Yeah. The rocks, damp and hard, but as you touch them, they become soft and enveloping. Yeah, wind in the trees and feeling the pine needles. Good. Yeah, Donnie, you said, I feel like you said moss with your feet and the curtains blowing up against you from the pavilion. Yeah. Moss on the ground near the pavilion. That's you too, Linda. Yeah. Caroline, you said the air is so alive. Yeah. Now, again, this works really great if you've got some music going in the background. But before we even kind of present Jesus into the picture, just take a few moments and just be. And what I want you to focus on is imagine yourself breathing while you're there. And imagine yourself resting for a moment while you're there. And you can take in all the sights, you can hear all the sounds, you can smell all the smells. But just let the reality of this environment come into your experience. Celeste, you said the sense of the hummingbirds having a presence like fairies. Yeah, sometimes in this place, I can't tell if what I'm seeing is a fairy, a dragonfly, or a hummingbird. It all seems to mix together in a really fun way. Just take a minute just to vibe with the place. And just breathe in and breathe out. If you want to do something really fun, look at yourself. See how old you are, see how you're clothed. And let your actions really be your actions. Like the first thing I did is I just reached my hand out and I touched a column. And there was something, just about putting my hand on the column and my feet on the marble floor. That's just grounding about it. It lets me be there. Just take a moment. Judy, you said the air is great, fresh and clean. I want to twirl. Twirl away. Let your actions be your actions. Let your breath be your breath. And imagine for a minute connecting where you're sitting or standing in your mortal sojourn right now, connecting it to where you are in this place in a restored earth, a restored Eden. And when you breathe in your resurrection body in this place, I want you to imagine the air going all the way down your, what's that ever called? The windpipe, whatever the word is, all the way into your lungs. But I want you to imagine breathing in there and it filling your lungs here in your mortal body. And I want you to imagine, touching something with your hand and the sensations coming through these nerves in your fingers. Yeah, Janine, you said, I love the sense of timelessness. It feels like eternity. And Reagan, I like this. It feels very Greek goddess themed for me. Yeah, you're allowed. You're definitely allowed. Yeah. Vibrations there, Gwen. Yep. Paul, you said the place is full of angels in the rocks, under the waterfalls, flying around from place to place. It sure is. Yeah. And Janine, you said, I might have read this one, or you love the sense of timelessness. Yeah. Yeah. David, you're leaning against a column, breathing deep, totally relaxed. Hear soft music. Yeah. Celeste, you see yourself young wearing a twirly dress. Yeah. Now, under direction from Jesus, before we do anything else, this is one of the things I felt he was saying, is that I want you to imagine singing while you're here. Now, maybe you think you're the only one here. Maybe you see the other 100 folks that are up in this place at the same time with us tonight. But I just want you to imagine singing. And if you want to describe that in the chat box, feel free. The words that you're singing or how it sounds. And just take a moment to do that. Just all part of just being, just being here and letting what's inside you come out. David, it sounds elvish to you. Nice Tolkien reference there. Yep. Echoes out of the valley. Sounds majestic. The sounds I'm singing are breathy, light, living colors. Your mics are off. If you want to try it out, you can, y'all. I promise I will not trick you and turn them on. And actually, I turned the toggle on where you can't unmute them anyway. So try it out. If you're by yourself, try it out. I mean, if you're with other people, maybe not a great idea. But if you're by yourself, try out the sounds, try out the words. Yeah, Reagan, humming a pastoral and a bit melancholy. Yeah, it's allowed to have minor notes in it. Absolutely, Reagan, good job. Yeah. Sarah, you're singing and birds are coming from all directions, chirping. Someone else, Durette, you're enjoying the echo of your voice against the rocks. And Diane, you said, my heart is alive, more alive than it's ever been. These are the words to my song, beautiful words. Yeah, a lot of you hear creation respond to you when you sing. Sometimes I do this, by the way. I can hear myself singing and, when I'm there and I just and I know it's not English, It doesn't quite feel like speaking in tongues. It almost just feels like some sort of heavenly tongue. And sometimes I just make the sounds of the words and I sing it in, you all know me. I mean, this will not come as any surprise. It always sounds very Gaelic with me. I always feel this kind of lilting something in 3/4 or 6/8 time, that kind of lilts along, And so I do that. I just make the sounds and I sing my little dirge as I'm walking through something. Nikki, I just want to get to the last part of what you said. You said, as I'm singing, I sound like Julie Andrews. Good. Excellent. You're doing it right. Good job. Very good. Yeah. Just another moment. Just let yourself be for another moment. Yeah, David, sometimes it sounds without words. Yeah. Judy, high pitched and on key, which you said is very unusual. And there are crowds of birds, and we sing together. Yeah, Janine, your song goes, my heart remembers this beautiful place. And Shirley, you said a beautifully jeweled, fire-breathing, frolicking dragon just appeared from out of one of the caves. And there are notes clinging to her breath, and you can hear her singing into my being. Really great description. Yeah, very good. Yeah, let me read this one. This is from Rebecca here in Australia. The pavilion has a glory sphere above the floor, swirling the sound of mystic ages, bringing all time into convergence. The floor is a dance floor, whirling with my beloved, the Trinity, and we are transfiguring together. Flowing from the pavilion is the cascading river of life. I know I have permission to leap into it and see where it leads. Yes, you do. Very good. Now, wherever you are, let's ask the Lord to come teach us. Again, I think hanging out with Messiah was probably equal parts just being and listening to the birds and equal parts being taught by the Lord. Now, there's ways you could do this. You could just be where you are in the scene and go, Lord, I want to be taught by you. How do you want that to happen tonight? Or you can say, Lord, where are you in this picture? And it could be any part of the Godhead. It wouldn't have to be Messiah. But tonight, I feel that we want to be taught by the Lord. And that's why we're going to take this moment to ask that question out loud. Lord, where are you in this picture? Or Lord, I want to be taught by you in this place. And here's where I want you to, again, trust your impressions. Don't be the mental traffic cop. Of course, you'll test the fruit. But say by doing this, you're saying to the Holy Spirit, I believe, Holy Spirit, you are bigger than my will, my intellect, my imagination, my emotions. I believe you're bigger than all of it. I'm just going to go with my first guesses tonight. And you tell me, either write it in your journal or say it out loud to yourself. I hope you're talking to yourself. Don't keep it in. It's hard to focus if you do. Or put it in the chat box. And you tell me what happens when you said, Lord, I want to be taught by you in this place. Or Lord, where are you in this picture? And all you have to do is ask yourself, Lord, where are you? And then what is the Lord saying and doing? And what are you saying and doing in return? And all you have to do is keep going back and forth with that perspective. What is the Lord saying and doing? What am I saying and doing in return? Yeah. So Gwen, you said he's the light that's swirling around and through me. That's one great experience. Thank you, Gwen. Diane's got a different one. The Lord led me by a living stream. He's sitting on a rock by the stream and invites me to sit with him there. And he and I are in a conversational flow while he talks and instructs me. Yeah, and you saw Jesus at one of the smaller waterfalls throwing rocks into the water. It's all good. You ask that question and let those first impressions tell you the story of this experience tonight. I know morning for those of you in Australia, but let your imagination, partnering with the Holy Spirit, tell you this story. Don't write off any element unless you've tested the fruit and it's bad. But just trust that first guess, that first inkling. David, you said he's standing in the middle of the pavilion with all of us sitting around attentively. I bet more than you, David, is probably seeing that. It would be a really common picture for this tonight. It's kind of a natural place for him to be. If that's not where you are, that's great. No right or wrong way to be taught by the Lord in this place. And whatever part of the Godhead you sense or see, take note of the visuals there. Like if it's Messiah, what's he look like? What clothes is he wearing? What colors are they? How's the countenance? What's the expression on the Lord's face? And just tell it to yourself, like you're telling yourself a story. Lord, this is how you look tonight, If it's the Father or Holy Spirit, whom I always see as a mother, just kind of tell yourself what that's like and all the details that your first impressions give you. It's a good word there. This is coming from Frank. Remember when you were a little boy, you just opened your mouth and songs flowed like water from your heart. This is how I desire for you to reopen your soul, your spirit. Just be. It's a great word. Yeah. Diane said to you, I know all your questions and I have all the answers. Come here and abide a while. I feel your loving heart. I love being with you, Yeah, it's amazing how much God likes spending time with us. I'm just sitting with him, by the way, on the lip of the pavilion, like right on the edge of it, looking out to where some of the waterfalls spill into that pool and into that river. And we're just sitting there, and he's pointing out things to me that I've never seen before. That can be as much as what it means to be taught of the Lord tonight. It doesn't have to be, we need to work on your sense of forgiveness, and that's good. If that's what God's doing, that's good, but it doesn't have to be. It could just be he's showing you how to see more in this place. Yeah, a lot of you, I'm reading, Nikki, about a very relaxed engagement. Yeah, it's kind of the environment for it. Yeah, Donna, you see him, Lion of Judah, in that high king dress, dancing with you. And he's giving you a beautiful sword. He says you'll need it in this time to cut through the lies of hell to get to the truth. And it's a good sword to have, Donna. Yeah. And Judy, you and Jesus, he's holding your hand. You're swinging in a circle. Yeah, very good. Great descriptions in there, Judy. And Sarah, he's teaching you how to rest. Yeah. Yeah, just a few more moments. Again, just ask yourself, what is he saying or doing? What am I saying or doing in return? And let it just go back and forth like that. Neat word, Celeste. You said your daddy, who passed away when you were 12, is holding your hand on one side and Jesus on the other. And they're looking at each other and taking you somewhere on the paths to the waterfalls. Beautiful picture, Celeste. Yeah, and I'm not going to rush this, y'all. Take your time. You kind of come to a place like this to vibe with the Lord and be taught by the Lord. So just take your time. John, you said Jesus is planting seeds in a clearing with well-prepared soil, and he's pointing to this season of sowing that will have great yield in due time. It's a good thing to be taught by the Lord about, John. I hear that. Yeah. Good. Caroline, I almost missed this. You said Jesus took me inside the pavilion. You said there's a beautiful mosaic. Great job. Caroline didn't say a word about that, but yes, floor of the pavilion, I've seen many times as a beautiful mosaic. Tile floor in a huge circle with the constellations in pictorial form. Good job. Golds, rich reds, blues. It's magnificent. Excellent. Jesus is talking to me about this, and I'm asking about Aquarius and what this means. Really good. Yeah. Yeah, very good, y'all. Keep going just a little bit longer. Tell your own story to yourself, even if you're not putting it in the chat box. Tell it to yourself, what you're experiencing and what you're being taught about in this moment. And if you don't know, if you like blanked out and you're like, man, I don't know what's going on here, just go to the last thing you saw clearly and say, Lord, where are you in this picture? And you can simplify it. You can really make it easy on yourself just by looking at the Lord and saying, Lord, what's one thing you want me to know while I'm here with you tonight? Just one thing. And then once he tells you one thing and you trust that first impression, ask for another and another and another, and on. Before you know it, you're in a conversation. Sydney, you said, while I was singing in the pool. Oh, sorry, it flew by me there. Hold on. While I was singing in the pool of one of the waterfalls, Jesus came out and joined my song. Then I kneeled and he kneeled, and we're being held in the water, facing each other, holding our gaze. And he said, this is abiding. Good word. Yeah, Linda, sing things into being. Water is washing the earth, and flow with it. He said, he wants to teach me how to fly. We turn into golden eagles and take off, and you see with him the whole beautiful scenery from the bird's perspective, which is really cool. Yeah, the big picture invites you to see like him, with him, all situations from his perspective. Yeah, and Daniel, Jesus is teaching about the rock runners, the veins that run through the rocks, the record of his voice, vibration captured and preserved. You know, the rocks cry out really good. I like this, David. He said, he tells me to love myself as he loves me and stop doubting. It's true. Truer words have never been spoken for any of us. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good place to just be taught of the Lord. Paula, you have a set of bow and arrows you're learning to shoot with accuracy? Great. Yeah. Yeah, in April, he's whispering in your ear, revealing intimacy that you can give him every thought, every feeling, every emotion. Yeah, it's wonderful to be taught by the Lord in all this. Yeah, Sarah, just the last part here, everything he created has vibration is what he's teaching about, and a sound, and he's teaching you to hear and feel those other sounds. Great job, Sarah. Yeah. Yeah. Diane, you said, I'm learning to just be here and not work to be here. Just be. Prince of Peace is bringing me peace. It's great. He's just been talking to me about trust. Like, where I've been sitting here with him. At first, it was him pointing out some things, around the place, and then after that, it just turned to a conversation about more trust. Yeah. Really good. In about a minute or so, I'm going to change gears on us a little bit, because there's one other thing I kind of want to do to set us off this next year really well. So if you sense it's coming to a close, that's great. If it's not, you need to make an appointment to come back to this pavilion and finish being taught by the Lord in this place. And you can do that. You know the pavilion well enough. I'm sure you've seen it. You can be right in the middle of it and just start your journey from there. But again, if you need to come back and talk some more about whatever it is the Lord was putting on your heart and the Lord's heart, make sure to do that. Don't stay away on ceremony. Use your access. Yeah, Durrett, he said, he tells me to let his love guide me when I feel disappointed about something. I need to ask him where his love is leading me. And just a good moment here, Durrett, to point out why it's so important to write this stuff down. A lot of you are putting stuff in the chat box, and I can't get to it all, but even if I don't read it out loud, it doesn't matter. You're writing it down, and you need to put it in journals. You need to say it to yourself so that it isn't just a fleeting thought that you forget about tomorrow. You got to remember tomorrow morning that you were in this timeless place in this pavilion, and you were being taught of the Lord with 100 or so other people. On a Thursday night, you need to remind yourself what it is that you do and what you're capable of doing. If you feel like learning something, come back to the pavilion for that reason. Again, it's a great place for that sort of thing. David, yes, will the chat be available? Possibly. I don't know how to put it in the YouTube recording, but let me see what I can do about that. I'll save it and see if I can make something of it. In fact, I'll go ahead and do that now before I change gears on it just a little bit. Okay. What I want to do before we're done tonight, and again, wherever you are, you can just kind of pause that conversation with the Lord. You're going to go back in just a minute, so don't leave where you are. Just kind of listen to me for a moment. I think one of the best things I did with a small group of believers that we would kind of meet on Zoom and go to heaven, just 4 of us from time to time, over the previous years. One of the things we did that I thought really helped is, in order to show ourselves the reality of experiencing the heavenly realm and how it filters down into this earthly sojourn, we picked some things at the beginning of a year that we said we're going to consistently talk about this when we're in the heavens. And we want to see in a year what happens with these 2 or 3 issues in our life. It is very much like putting it to the test. And I don't feel like that's a bad thing. I think there's an invitation tonight to pick 2 or 3 things that you want to put before heaven and say, I really want to know the effect of my visiting this place and the reality of a place that Jesus ascended to. I want to know what the effect of that is in this mortal sojourn. I want to experience that. And so I want you to start thinking now about what those 2 or 3 things might be. Maybe there's just one, but what those 2 or 3 things might be. I'm gonna stick on this theme a little bit for our Heaven Community Zoom calls over the next few months. I'm gonna remind you to put heaven to the test this year. Find some testimony in your life about how you've seen the reality of heaven play out in your mortal sojourn. The only way to do that sometimes is just to go, I'm going to tackle these things. I want to see what happens when I do. Now, just a word of advice. Please don't pick like world peace. Okay, so let's be honest about it. I don't think I'm being unfaithful, just a reasonable dose of realism, Try not to pick something that it's going to take 7 billion other people to agree upon or decide they're going to solve all their conflicts. Maybe pick something that it just takes like 2 or 3 people to solve conflicts about. I mean, just be reasonable, Yeah. Just have something, in mind that maybe it's personal, maybe it's local, whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be like a problem even to solve. It can be any of, it could be, Lord, I want to just experience you more this way. I mean, your thing could be, I want to see better in the heavens, and I'm going to continue to approach that this whole year. But, try to think of things where, when these next few months or 6 months or a year is up, you can look back and go, what changed? Because I think it's time, if you don't have this already, and some of you do, if you do, there's no harm in having more testimony. But the idea is, if you're ever going to be sure that you have access to the heavens and learn to live your life there, like the apostles, like Stephen the martyr, like a lot of the early church was doing, you need some testimony. So let's put some things to the test. Now, I would love it if you didn't put what you're choosing in the chat box. If you have already, I haven't looked. It's okay if you did. But sometimes things just need to be precious to you. They don't need to be out there for everybody else. There's no harm in putting it out there if you want to, but maybe just take me up on the offer here. Like sometimes the pearls just need to be treasures for just you. And maybe when it's done, you'll tell us the testimony of what one of these pearls was that you kind of put out there before the Lord. But however you've kind of decided on what it is that your 2 or 3 things that you want to bring before heaven this year and go, I want to get better at this, better at this, better at this, or I want to solve this problem. I want this issue to change. Whatever it is that you want to see an actual change in, that's what I want you to do. So, whether you got to write it down in a journal, make sure you record it somehow so that you can go back to it in the months to come and, of course, in the next year. Guys, I don't know why, but this is when I was talking to Jesus earlier, and I was already in this pavilion tonight before y'all got here. And I was already kind of walking through the forest before I got to this place with him. And I felt like he said, just put me to the test. If there's a hurdle about really sensing the reality of it, put me to the test. Ask me to work some things out this year. Ask me to show you this year. And then watch what I can do. And you'll see how your interaction with heaven works like that. So write those things down. Try not to put it on a loose piece of paper that you're going to throw away. You want to be able to come back to this throughout the year. This is kind of my let's start the year off right. And let's think about doing something like this year to show ourselves what's possible when we interact in the heavenly realm. Now, what I want you to do before we're done is I want you to go back and look at Jesus. If you don't know what these 2 or 3 things are, it's okay. You got some time. You can think about it. If you know what they are, great. If you know what 1 or 2 is, doesn't matter. But I want you to tell the Lord, if you're talking to Messiah, Father, Holy Spirit, whatever, I want you to tell the Lord, and the angels are around, great too. Just want you to look at the Lord and say, hey, these are the things I want to keep bringing up when I'm with you in the heavenly places. And I want to be taught by you about these things. And I want to experience the power of a restored, resurrected life about these things. I want to know that my interaction here with you is meaningful and purposeful. And then you say what those things are, however you word that. Or you can go back when I post this recording on YouTube and see how you would word it. And when you tell the Lord those things, if he says anything back to you, great. Just say it to yourself, acknowledge it to yourself, just like you're repeating it, like you need to be told, like you're narrating the story to yourself. Okay, Lord, this is what I just heard you say in response. Make sure you record that conversation in your memory if you're not writing it down. And then before you're done, just take a look around this place. Remember it. Smell it again. Breathe in the air here one more time and let that air come down into your mortal lungs. Let the feelings get through that resurrected body that you just perceive in the spirit, and let those feelings and sensations go all the way into your mortal body. And as you take one last look around at the place, you can give a wave or a hug to the Lord, or don't leave. You don't have to leave. You can stay here all night if you want to. Camp out in the pavilion. I bet it would be tons of fun. Whatever you want to do. And then whether you want to come back or not, I'm going to tell you that I really enjoyed being here with you tonight. I love getting to share with you these places. If you have anything else you want to put in the chat box, a comment or question, now's a great time. I don't know if anybody, again, my participants look like 100, but it should be able to hold more than that. And I have been letting people in. So if my 100-person limit is somehow strangely still in place, I'll have to address that with Zoom. But if anybody knows if someone can't get in, let me know. I'll make sure that that doesn't happen next time. So if more than 100 want to come in, that's okay. David, you said books. Refine that for me, David. Which books are we asking about? I'm happy to comment on anything there. Yeah, Ginny, you said thanks for the tour. You're going to be hanging out there. That's good. It's a great place to hang out. There's more to this Caldera Valley floor. I hope one day to be able to draw it out for you. That way you can see the whole thing. So I'm working on that. And whenever I want to take a writing break, sometimes I do a little art, and it's not good. Don't get your hopes up, but we'll see. Great. I'm glad y'all had a good time. David, reading lists. Haven't put them together yet. I've got about another solid week of writing to finish this last manuscript, and then I'm going to work on creating like a book list, reading list. That's why I gave a shout out to Mary Hawes last time we were on a Zoom together, because that was one of her ideas, was to do a reading list together. So I'm still working on that, David. Absolutely. And it is up for discussion. So if you have any ideas, send them to me, David. Yeah. Yeah, Celeste, you said, why does it seem easier to have these experiences in groups like this than by myself? A couple different things are working there. One is you're trusting. So like, here I am prompting you with questions, kind of leading you, and you're kind of like, yeah, I'll put myself in those hands for a little while and let the tour guide take me somewhere, so some of it is just the natural faith of, you don't feel like you're responsible for it all on your own. I'm helping. Other people are helping, we're doing it together. So you feel like there's like, so it's just a natural thing. It's just like, oh, I'm not on my own here. Like this is doable, So some of it is, it's easier because, again, you don't feel like you're having to generate everything on your own. Some of it, again, is just the faith of a group. I think a lot of the times it really helps to have a cheerleader, which is why I do what I do. When we're all here together, sometimes it helps for someone to keep telling you, trust that first impression. Don't write that off as being silly. Go ahead and say it to yourself, like just to be your cheerleader, like, go, you can do it. If you don't have someone around that can be your cheerleader, be your own. So I mean, who knows if this is right or wrong? I'm just going to say it. It's not, I don't think this is wrong. Sometimes people hear me asking them questions and telling them to trust their first impressions when they do this, just because they're used to me doing it. I don't think that's bad. I mean, like sometimes people are like, I was doing this the other day, and it's like I could hear you going, what's your first impression? Like, what's Jesus saying to you right now? How's Jesus look? It's like they hear the kinds of questions I would ask. I don't think that's wrong. So if there's no cheerleader for you around, be your own, and just, tell yourself, okay, keep talking. Keep talking to yourself right now, trust those first impressions, self. So it is great to do it as a group, which is why we do this. There's a definite blessing to it. Okay, let's see. Nikki, you said you bought Owen Barfield's Romanticism Comes of Age. It's a good one. Do you have a favorite chapter or passage? In Romanticism Comes of Age, I'll tell you my favorite one there. If you'd asked me about the rediscovery of meaning, which I was looking at just recently, I would have told you The Harp and the Camera was probably my favorite chapter. And then Son of God, Son of Man was a really good chapter too. Oh, good. I'm glad you love it, Judy. Good. I'm glad it helps you for the week. Nice to have others on your own wavelength. I couldn't agree more. Okay. So Randy, you're reading something deeply hidden. Great. Ready to discuss when I'm there. I'm looking forward to that too. Okay. Did I cover everything there? Great. Sarah, I'm glad you're here with us, Sarah, and I'm glad this is a blessing for you too. It is for me. I'm going to try to do, again, when we're not doing an online class, I hope to do a couple of these a month and maybe throw in some office hours in there as time allows, and we'll just take it from here. So look for emails from me about our next time together. It will probably be next Thursday night. I might get one in. If I don't get one in next Thursday, we'll definitely do an office hours. Not this Sunday, but the following Sunday afternoon. So come with your questions and thoughts and subjects to ponder. And if you don't have anything, we just go to heaven together, because can't get enough of it. All right, love you all. Have a really great rest of your Thursday or Friday, those of you in Australia. It's good to know it's Friday in Australia. That means we're going to make it another day. Those of us here in America, Friday is already happening, so we know it's going to be here. And enjoy your evening. Love you all, and we'll see you soon, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good night. See you next time.